I want to show you the very first character I ever played as in Dungeons and Dragons. Back when I got started, I was playing with 3rd edition, well 3.5 technically, but the character I created was named Zeke Sai. It was a throwback, a personal throwback to another character I had created when I was even younger than that, named Genko. Genko was a Dragon Ball fan character, but I didn't want my D&D character to be a dungeon or a Dragon Ball character. I wanted him to be a fantasy role-playing game character. So I changed the name, but otherwise kept a lot of things about him that I liked. One of the things I did was I decided to make him a rogue. And I've always liked kind of stealthy characters in games, and it just found it to be a bunch of fun to play as. And so I decided to do that with this guy. One thing I did a little different, though, from anything I'd done in the past, was I made this guy a multi-class monk rogue. That was a whole bunch of fun for me because I had never done anything like that before. And so here he was, by second level, he was multi-classed. And I enjoyed like stealthing and then focusing on punching people. I knew that long term it may not be the most effective thing to play as, but I also knew that this game was not going to last that long. It was just fun to introduce me to the game, and the people that I was playing with are not people that I saw very frequently. In fact, one of them, he DM'd for me once and let me borrow his book, and I never saw him again, and I always felt really bad about that, because I kept trying to get his book back to him, but I could never get a hold of him. I didn't have the guy's phone number. It's just, we had planned to meet up again for another session, and it never happened. And so I technically still have his book to this day. But I would like him to know, I believe his name is Daniel. That book, you got me started on something that has become a permanent fixture in my life. That book was the beginning of everything for me. I used it to play D&D 3.5 games from that point on, and I just kept playing and kept playing and kept using that book. And so while I'm sorry you never got your book back, I do want you to know that book, it means a lot to me, and it changed everything for me in that regard. Role-playing games have become a very central part of my existence. But this character, one of my favorite memories about him is he was up in the rafters inside of a bank, and I was rolling pretty well that night. Beginner luck. I think beginners really do get good rolls a lot of the time early on, and then as you play more, that just kind of fades. But I was standing up in the rafters with a fish hook and using it to essentially fish people's coin purses out of their pockets. And my DM was like, "You sure you want to keep trying?" And I was like, yes I do. And finally, once I'd collected a few bags and I was doing pretty good, he's like, "You sure you want to keep going with this? The chances of you getting caught are just going to keep going up higher and higher." It's like, yeah, I'll take my winnings and run. And so I got out of the bank, and once I was already out of the bank, that's when I started hearing a ruckus from inside the bank, and I was like, I'm gonna get out of here while the getting is good. And so it's my favorite memory from the playing as this character. There's nothing quite like those kind of memories. I would later go on to make a couple more versions of this character, but none of them were quite as special to me as that first one. Just that memory, especially of the bank. But ever since then, the kind of this mixture of monk and rogue has always stuck with me. Even when I play, I played Final Fantasy XI as a rogue, or as a thief, because they don't have rogue, it's thief. But I always wanted to use monk as my sub job and punch things, which is not exactly how you play thief in that game, but that's how I liked to play it. And so, it was a pretty competitive natured game, especially back in its younger years. And so I would play with the typical sub job, which was ninja, just so that I could actually get groups to level with. But when I was running around by myself, when I could, I would use monk as my sub job. And especially, I took a big break from that game, and when I went back, they completely changed it, and you had trusts and other things, and you could largely solo. And so at that point, I was always slash monk, except when I absolutely had to have ninja sub job to get through parts of the story. But yeah, thieves and rogues who are martial arts users as opposed to knife users have a bit of a special place in my heart, and this character kind of started that whole process. So thank you, Zixai, for helping to start that way of living my life.